How's it going? Sorry, a couple minutes late. Had to get done with a super important phone call with an amazing mentor and friend, Mr. Chad Thompson. We were just finishing up. Sorry it ran late. Had a family issue come up too. Had to make a call real quick. But we are back and we are here and we are ready to go. And I'm so excited to see you guys. We got a pretty good one today. I think give some people some value. So if you got anybody you know that you think will get value from the show, you ever watched it before, go ahead and share out now. Let us know. Thanks for being on. If you are on, let us know you are here. The Adventures of Spot are back today. I'm going to try to sit here in the way, kind of. So, there you go. He's a little better right there. Morning, Mrs. Sabo. Afternoon, whatever time of day it is. If you work nights, good morning. If you work days, good day. I hope everybody's having a good night tonight. Amazing evening. We got some awesome stuff to talk about. I really think it's going to help. I just sent out the invites. We're going to let Facebook do its job for about 30 more seconds, and then I will go ahead and start doing mine. So, again, I hope you guys are having a fantastic Monday. I had a good day. Whatever you did, I hope you did it to the fullest and had an amazing time while you were doing it. So, all right, guys, what we're going to talk about today, what did it say on the thing? Fight, flight, or excite, right? How do you react to fear is what the topic is today. Earlier this week, or last week, we talked about, fears and facing fear and fighting fear. Norm, thanks for being on. What I'm going to talk today about is actual skill set, and a little bit of science behind the way fear works in your brain. And things that you can change in yourself and things that you can work on in you to change the way that fear affects you, stress affects you. Stress in particular, the fear of stress is toxic, actually, as people. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. But what I'm going to talk about today, I'm going to throw some numbers out that might shock you, actually. When I first heard about them, and I did the training that I pulled this from myself. There's some moments that kind of make you laugh when you think about what we do to ourselves as people. So, all right, guys, what I'm going to talk about today is that we're going to start. Casey, thanks for being on. So there was a study done. I can't open my mouth a whole lot because I had surgery on Saturday, but I hope you guys can understand me. If my man Ray gets on, I apologize. He might not be able to read my lips very well. But, so, they did a study at Harvard Business, Harvard Medical School. It was a co-op study. They studied over over 500,000, almost 1 million people over 8 years, right? And what the study was a stress test, okay? And it figured out how people handled stress in their life, right? And in this study, what they did is they got all the people, and over 8 years, they paid attention to death records to find out who died. That sounds funny, but that was really the only way that they could get to the end result that they wanted. And what they noticed was that people, okay, they asked, okay, how much stress do you face in your life? So if you face a little bit of stress, raise your hand. Severe or moderate, sporadic stress in your life. Anybody? Kim, thanks for being on. T, thanks for being on. Anybody fight, just moderate stress, just a little bit of stress, mostly it's just calm in life? No, nobody. Who fights tons of excessive stress in their life, and they just feel like they're just kind of a stress ball 90% of the time? That's where, like, most of the people in the study raise their hand. But see, then they put this twist on it, right? They said, okay, now how many of you that are severely stressed see stress as a bad thing? Or see stress as something that could jeopardize your health? Okay, so that was a subcategory. The people who feared the outcome of stress as opposed to those who didn't. Okay, now understand that these are two different classifications. The people that had tons of stress but saw it negatively, saw it as something that could affect their health, saw it as something that was terrible for them, had a 43% higher chance of dying than everyone else in the study. But here's the crazy part. The people that had the equal amount of stress but did not see it as a bad thing were the strongest, healthiest people in the group. They actually had a lower risk of death than the people with no stress in their life. So the people that handled stress positively and constructively actually had a lower risk of death than the people that were stress-free. It said that over those 8 years, 182,000 people died in the fear of stress-related category. So over 8 years, if you divide those numbers, that's over 20,000 people a year that died, not of stress, of their fear of what stress would do to them. So people's fear of stress became the 15th highest cause of death in America that year, at the end of that study. It killed more people than skin cancer, HIV, AIDS, and homicide. People being afraid of being stressed out killed more people than homicide, HIV, and skin cancer. The fear of stress moved to the 15th spot of deaths in America. Doesn't that open your eyes a little bit? Like, doesn't that make you think just a little bit? Yeah, it's sad. It really is. It's so true. So they did a stress reactions test at Harvard also. And what they did before they did the test this time, they took people and they told them and they coached them medically to rethink their physiological reactions to stress. So when your heart starts pounding, that's just your body preparing you for action. That's your fight, flight, or excite response showing up and letting you know it's okay to be excited and okay to be in action. Okay? What if your heavy breathing was merely your brain or your subconscious over-oxidating your brain so that you could solve the problem faster? What if you breathing heavy was just your body's defense mechanism giving you more oxygen to make sure you were versed and your brain was fully, nourished with oxygen so that you could then think clearly and solve the problem? So they took the two halves of those people and they met the most astonishing thing to me, and the thing that blew my mind, was that they then took skin and blood samples of these people and they monitored them. Carly, Savannah, thanks for being on. And the people, right, that found stress to be bad, when they were in a stressful situation, their blood vessels would constrict and tighten up like this. So therefore, their heart was having to work twice as hard, and this is why cardiovascular health is often associated with stress. Because it's bad for your blood vessels and your heart to stay like this for a long period of time. Over a prolonged period of time of this being your physiological reaction to stress, it causes heart disease. And they noticed that literally changing this one behavior could be the difference between an early heart attack at 50 and living into your 90s. This one behavioral change. Because the people that they taught that stress was just your body making you ready for the situation, it was your body prepping you subconsciously to be able to handle the obstacle, the people that they trained to this belief, that they would deal with the exact same stress tests, word for word the same, situation for situation the same, and their blood vessels remained relaxed completely, as if they were under no stress whatsoever. So not only does your mind change when you change the way you see it, your body's physiological response in your heart changes. Do you guys understand how powerful that is? That you can literally fight heart disease by changing the way you see stress in your life. You can literally slow down the chance that heart disease has on affecting your health by changing the way you see the stressful situations in your life by decades. So she said that she was the trainer that I listened to, she said she was she was an emotional and, like a therapist, emotional guidance counselor, a therapist. And she'd been fighting stress and telling everybody that stress was terrible for you for 15 years. And once she realized what she was doing, she had to say something. Once her eyes were enlightened to the difference of what could actually happen in your body, because she was, perpetuating this awful thing and telling people that stress was bad and making them feel this way in their head and making them go to these defense mechanisms that were actually hurting them physically and psychologically. And she didn't know it. So she said, I have 15 years of bad programming when it comes to stress. I have to fight a little harder to make up for it. So she didn't stop there. She said, this is tons of info and it can help you a ton. But she went one step further. And she talked about this hormone that's in your brain. Right? And it's called oxytocin. Not Oxycontin. Nobody's taking pills. It's called oxytocin. Okay? It actually already has a fun name. It's called the cuddle hormone. Because your body naturally releases it when you hug somebody. So it's called the cuddle hormone. It's that soothing feeling that your body gets when you have physical contact with someone you care for. Okay, that happens because oxytocin is released from your brain into your bloodstream. Okay, it's a neurohormone. But the crazy thing about it is this neurohormone, if you understand it, you realize that stress actually makes you social if you're not fighting it. Most people, when they get stressed out, close in and don't want to talk to anybody. But the reason that you're going through so much turmoil is you're actually fighting your body's natural defense mechanism. And what this hormone does naturally, exactly, what this hormone does naturally to your body, you're actually having to purposefully fight against it to be grumpy. Because what this thing does, this oxytocin, is it's so much bigger than just a cuddle hormone. What it does in your brain is it actually fine-tunes your brain's social instincts. And when you get into a situation that's stressful, it purposefully primes you to do something that will strengthen your relationship. You ever notice when somebody's going through something and it just feels like they want to talk to you, but they never will? That's literally the oxytocin in their brain sending out subconscious signals like, please just talk to someone. Please just confide in someone. Please just let somebody hug you. This is literally neuroscience that's going on in your brain that's unavoidable. Unless you've trained yourself to silence it. But it's a natural reaction that your body has. So when you get into a stressful situation, you always feel like you want to talk to somebody and you want to verbally throw up on someone. We call it venting, but it's actually the oxytocin in your brain pushing you to connect with someone. Pushing you to get closer so that you don't feel alone anymore. Right? Pushing you to grow that relationship and strengthen it to something that's unbreakable. So, I saw Kim's on here. I appreciate her. And I was just on the phone with Chad. Our whole bond build breakthrough happens because oxytocin exists in your brain. The whole formula of which we work our team exists because oxytocin exists in your brain. And it's a neurohormone. So you guys, I want you to understand something in a recap. I just threw my notes because I got excited. But understand that the way you view and see stress is so much more dangerous than any stress you actually have in your life. Because they surveyed almost 1 million people over 8 years. Okay? 1 million people. And the results are literally perfectly conclusive over and over and over again. The fear of stress is the 15th highest cause of death in America. Not stress itself, not heart attack, not any of that. That's up there. But understand that that is caused from this 15th. From this thing that's killing over 20,000 people a year. And it's being scared. It's being worried about what's to come. It's being anxious that, oh my gosh, I feel stressed out, so the whole world's going to come crashing down. I can't resolve this. I can't fix this, right? That whole frustration thing we were talking about a few days ago. But understand it's not just up here. A lot of stuff we train is mindset. A lot of stuff we train is action plan and stuff you got to do. But understand this isn't just, I don't care how you see it, this isn't just fluff or this isn't just encouragement. Your heart reacts differently when you see stress differently. If that doesn't tell you something, that the blood vessels in your heart literally will react differently when you start to react differently, that's not a fad. That's not a coaching tip. That's you changing your life and changing the longevity of your life with a simple but difficult at times practice. I will never come on here and tell you that changing yourself from something that was self-destructive to something that's self-promoting and self-improving is easy. You will never hear me use the E word when it comes to being better. Because being a better person is the hardest thing you will ever do in your life. Choosing to fight your body's personal physiological responses that have been programmed for 30 years, 20 years, whatever it is hard. But it's worth it. It's worth it. I'm talking to you right now and I'm 80% recovered, less than 48 hours from oral surgery because I did not allow it to affect me. I said I have a show to do on Monday. I have people that need to hear me on Monday. I can't still not be able to talk on Monday. So it was just another day at the office, you guys. I went in, I came out, we got it done. I recollected my mindset. I told myself that we're going to get through it. I told myself it's just another day of pain. I told myself that my mission is more important than my current condition. And I'm going to say that to you again. My mission was more important than my current condition. So I fought through the pain. And I haven't even taken any painkillers. That's the crazy part. I have the whole thing right here. I'll show it to you. Ready? There's still 16 of them in there. How many does it say were in there? 16. Same exact number. Because I haven't had to take any because the pain was never going to affect me like that. Because I wasn't going to allow it to. Now, the doctor asked me straight to my face. He said, how are you still talking? You're like cut, inflamed, bleeding all over the place. And I told him exactly what I just told you. What I have to do and what I have to say and the mission that God has put me on is more important than how I feel right now. So I don't have a choice but to keep going. See, that's the thing. A lot of you get into terribly stressful situations or life falls apart or bad stuff starts to happen and we just jump off the damn cliff into failure. Mulligan, start over. There's no chance of saving it now. That's how a lot of us do things. True or false? We can do a small little increment of stress or pain and we just throw in the towel. Because we have not taught ourselves how to handle that without it physically affecting us. So you avoid stressful situation because it makes you feel like you want to throw up. It makes you feel like you can't breathe. It makes you blur your vision. It gives you a headache. Guess what? You taught yourself to do all of that. Nobody else did. And if somebody else did, it was terrible programming that you watched from another person. Here's a nugget. And you let them tell a vision to you of what's really wrong with you. You didn't listen to what you know's going on. You didn't listen to the things you know you could say. You let some infomercial or somebody else tell you that you needed medication or counseling or you need to change your lifestyle or quit your job or freaking sell your kids or whatever it is because your stress is so bad you just can't handle it. No, you need to learn how to handle it. Because I promise you, when you go it alone, and you don't, there's no guaranteed checks as much, and you go on this mission to change yourself purposefully, it's not a cakewalk. It's not easy. It's not simple. And there's stressful moments. There's moments that in the same day you'll feel like a king and a failure. In the same day, you'll feel like a completely successful king or queen, and then by 6 o'clock at night, you'll feel like a failure. But you know what? That's a totally different training about managing your highs and your lows. We'll do that another day this week. Managing your highs and your lows. Having lower highs and higher lows so you can stay in the middle and stay in control of yourself. Because there's something I used to do real bad, and people could see it from a mile away. When something good happened, we were through the ceiling with excitement. But if your emotions are that polar, when something bad happens, it is guaranteed you will end up in the basement. You will end up at dead ground zero. And every time you fail, you don't just have to get up, you have to go out and restart every time. I heard an amazing quote. He says, not that you can't get to the finish line with your efforts, it's that you won't leave the starting line with your efforts. You've started over so many times that you can't make progress. Because it's easier to reset when you're scared. Right? We talked about this on the show on Thursday or Friday. It's easier to go back to that comfort zone and reset when we're stressed or scared, or those physiological things start coming out. Shortness of breath, oh my God, so much anxiety, I just can't breathe and I just want to die. Anxiety is really, really real. Okay? Stress is really, really real. But the fact that you need medication to fix it is a marketing scheme. I'll say it again to anybody that wants to hear it. Stress, anxiety, and depression are all very real. But thinking that you can't fix it or help yourself get into a better situation without medication or counseling is a marketing scheme. It is not a fact. Because somebody gets paid when you buy that. So they'll keep putting out infomercials that convince you that you need it. Because the voice of the television is telling you what you need to do and how you need to take care of yourself. And because there's nothing else louder that you're listening to, you listen to it. And you do what it tells you to do. And you call for that next medication or you make that next doctor's appointment because something's wrong with you. No. No. Something might be wrong with you. But making it right is a personal choice and a personal journey that you can go on. And you need audio-visual medication, not the kind you take internally. You need audio-visual medication. You need mindset medication. You need physiological response medication and education. You don't need Xanax or Zoloft or whatever else they can give you that turns you into a zombie so that you don't feel anymore, so it's not scary anymore. But the thing is, the thing is, guys, medication wears off. Transformation lasts forever. Medication wears off and is temporary. But if you take this script today, you take this prescription today to change the way you see stress and physiologically handle stress, that transformation will last forever. Medication free. No refills needed. You'll just keep taking your daily dose and keep plugging in to the situations and systems and communities that you're a part of that keep your head right and keep your focus right. That's all you'll need. Because medication is only temporary, transformation is permanent, and it lasts forever. So you got to make that choice that you're ready to change the way you feel. You're ready to change. Because this is the thing. Parents, let me hit you a run right now. Do you like the way it feels when you're stressed out? Do you like the tightness in your chest? Do you like that your heart hurts? Do you like that you can't breathe? Do you want to see your kids go through that? Do you want to see your kids have panic attacks and asthma attacks and can't breathe and freaking out and all that stuff? Well, then stop teaching it to them. Because all they're doing is watching the way you handle it and regurgitating it. They're watching the way you handle business and you handle life and you handle bad situations, and they're just regurgitating it. And that's what did it for me. Maybe you won't work for you. Maybe you aren't a big enough motivator. A few months back, we were going through it with my son. And he's just, I don't give about nothing. I ain't listening to nobody. I'm doing things my way. I got my head down and I don't have to listen to nobody. My blinders are on and, I might be affecting my health or I might be affecting all this stuff. And I'm like, man, why can't I get through to him? And then this God came in with a dagger, because he's just doing what you're doing, stupid. That's why. Your actions are 50 times louder than your words to your kids. 100 times, 1,000 times louder than your words to your kids. So it doesn't matter if you tell them, do what I say, not as I do. However you handle things in life, that's how they're going to handle them unless you teach them different. So if your son or your daughter has a mistake or messes up on a project at school and then clams up, don't talk to nobody for 2 weeks and fails something all of a sudden, you don't need to look at them to find the answer. You need to look in the damn mirror. Because that's where the answer is to what your kids are doing. All they're doing is watching what you do. Or watching what someone around them that they see regularly does. Literally, children come with no programming. They're a blank space. They got some survival skills that are natural to a mammal. That's about it. Everything else, their belief system, their physiological responses, their attitude, the way they treat other people, the way they see the world, all of that is learned knowledge they got from you and the other people around them. So if your child has a bad attitude, you probably have one too. If your child makes excuses every time they fail, you probably make them too. If your child never commits to nothing and doesn't show up when they say they're going to, guess what? You probably don't either. And that hurts, guys. That hurts. To look yourself right in the face and be totally humble, fully together, and be like, his problems are your fault. Her problems are your fault. Because they watch. I remember, we're like, why do you just freak out every time you get stressed out? And then I'm like, well, for a year, Brian, when you've gotten stressed out, you've talked nicely and you notice your physiological triggers and you do your exercises and you get through it and you be constructive. Okay, he's 10. So from 9 to 10, that's what he saw. From 1 to 9, he saw you rip car doors off and throw stuff across the freeway and kick in windows and, cuss up and down the whole damn street. So we got 9 years of this and 12 months of this, and you wonder why he still acts this way. And we want to beat our kids up and be like, why can't you just listen? I don't know, why couldn't you listen for a decade? Why can't you just do what you're told? I don't know, why couldn't you do it for a decade? I don't know why you got such a shitty attitude. I don't know, why'd you have one for over a decade? So guys, you got to understand that the way you see stress, the way you see fear, the way you see problems in your life isn't just a mental problem. It literally physically affects your death rate, your chance of mortality, like all of this. It affects every bit of it. Just based on how you see the bad situations in your life. Not even how many of them you face, or how bad or how severe they are. Just how you view it and how you handle it. Our physiological responses are just triggers, allowing us to realize when it's our time to step in and change the way we view something. So you can keep doing exactly what happened to you, and you can go ahead, and if this offends somebody, I'm sorry, you can go ahead and do nothing and continue to pass garbage beliefs, garbage coping mechanisms, and garbage physiological triggers onto your children and let them live the same stressful life that you have up until this point. You can be that selfish if you want to. It's your choice. You can go around and tell people that's just the way I am, or you know how my parents are, or you know who my mom is, that's just how I am. You can hold on to that garbage for as long as you want, it's a right. But when your kids start to do it, when your kids have an attitude, when your kids disrespect people, when your kids don't care, don't be dumbfounded anymore. Don't do it. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to see them in a totally different light than you see yourself. You're not allowed to see them as someone who's just won't listen and is screwing up and completely give yourself a pass for teaching it to them. You're not allowed to do that anymore. You're allowed to choose not to change. But you ain't allowed to beat up on the kid that's innocent just for regurgitating what they watch somebody else teach them. So choose to change the way you physiologically respond to stress and watch it change your entire life. And the life of your family, and the life of the future generations for your kids, your grandkids, and everybody involved. So I hope you guys got some value from this today. It was weighing on my heart heavy. I've been through a lot with it, and I just wanted to share it. I learned a little bit more about the science behind it and some actual, concrete skills and stuff like that, concrete knowledge about it, so I wanted to share that also. So remember, guys, your body produces things that force you, oxytocin, to connect with people, force you to want to reach out, force you to want to socialize, force you to want to get help when you're in a bad situation. You are the one that purposefully fights against that. You are the one that turns that switch back off. There's a reason that you always want to verbally vomit on somebody when you don't feel good. It's because the neural hormones in your brain are literally pushing the words out of your mouth. But you chose to close. I'm glad you got some value from this, man. I appreciate you being on. So understand, guys, that being stressed out or having stress in your life because you can't cut it all out yet, or you can't map the perfect world you want, may not be a choice for you yet. But how you react to it is always a choice, especially now that you know you have an option. Okay? Especially now that you know you have an option. So, if you guys need anything, feel free to reach out to us, thundermadelife.com, as always, or in your search bar at the top, just put in The Lifesmith, all one word, facebook.com/The Lifesmith. It'll take you right to our business page. You can link up with me. We can figure out times that work for you. And we can start getting rid of the garbage that's stuck inside the cage that life has trapped you in. Because that's the only thing between you and the future you want. That's the only thing between living every day in peace. That's the only thing between a positive mindset. That's the only thing between you and good physiological... Stop! My dog's going crazy. Good physiological responses. It's the choice to make them now. It's the choice to start working on them. If you don't have the answers, that's fine. I didn't either. Reach out to somebody who does and start working with them. Don't be too proud to become a better person. I'll say that again. Don't be too proud or have too much of an ego to become a better person. Because that's a hell of a selfish choice you're making. So I love you guys. As always, I'm so glad you are on. I'm so glad you got some value. Share, like, post, all that good stuff. Thanks for the love. We will talk to you guys tomorrow. I'm out.